What's up, guys? Morillo here. Hope everyone's doing well. Today I'm going to walk you guys through this session of my track Badmon Sound, which dropped on Gravitas Recordings recently as part of the album Shades of Green. First, I'll play you a little snippet of the track to get you guys familiar, and then I will walk you through the different layers of the tune and share some production techniques I used to give this track its vibe. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you learned something. Peace. Alright guys, here we go. This is Badmon Sound.
Yo!
Yeah. This is bad. Cool. So yeah, there it is. So I'm going to take you through these different groups of tracks and talk about them. So here we are. This is the group stems of I can't talk. The drum stems, the acoustic drum stems. I recorded these in my studio here in Los Angeles, and as you can see, there's a lot of editing going on. I just wanted to go through in there, and I went through all these different sections, and I would highlight and kind of scoot these individual hits around just to get the groove perfectly how I wanted it, pretty much. You know, maybe some say it would be cheating to do this, but you know, at the end of the day, it's about the bigger picture, and I just wanted to get these drums feeling proper. So yeah, that's what all these different little sections are. It's the editing and scooching around of different hits. I don't know if I'm going to bring you through all these different mixing and EQing stuff, because it would just take a really long time. As you can see, there's a lot of plugins on all these individual tracks to give them the vibe, and I feel like it could be a whole separate tutorial for the acoustic drums. So I'm going to keep moving forward. So the next stemmed group is all the percussion, all the electronic stuff. Fun fact, this track actually started as a fully electronic drum kit track, no acoustic drums. So yeah, that's where most of these sounds came from, and I recorded the acoustic drums on top of this stuff. So basically, when I first wrote this track, I kind of got the initial groove and the feel of the track from these programmed drums. Something that is really important, I feel like, in drum production, and something that I've been doing a lot, is playing with the delaying of and the anticipation of, you know, the overall timing of the track. That's what this column here is. This button down here, this D, will open up this option, and what this does is, depending on how far forward, you know, positive numbers, how far forward or how far back is where the overall timing of this individual track will lay over top the, you know, master quantization tempo of the track, if that makes sense. Let's see, I'll play you a little example. So I'm going to solo this snare right here. As you can see, it's laying behind the beat here. And the more that I move this to the right or up, it's going to be farther behind the beat. Whereas if I go back, it will scooch to the left early. So basically, when I'm coming up with grooves and feels of my tracks, I'm really playing around with how these different drum and percussion layers stack on each other, whether I move some of them behind the beat, some of them before the beat, and really, it changes the feel of the overall groove. Definitely I see myself going, behind the beat by increasing the number here, because it kind of gives the drum feel a little like lazy or heaviness, where it's like, sluggish feel, and I really like that. So here's the drums and the percussion together. You can see it's like got a very like slow, sluggish, heavy vibe, and a lot of that has to do with moving these different layers, behind the beat is what you would call it. And that's with this column here. D down here opens this up. Some of you may be thinking what these are doing. These tracks here, these are actually copies of the acoustic drum stem. And why I copied them down here is because this way it would be closer to these other little percussive elements. And what I did is I went in and I lined up these digital percussion hits, this one, and I went through the entire track. It was very tedious, and I moved them around and lined them up with the actual acoustic drum hit that I played. So this way it really, glues the drums together. It makes the digital drums and the acoustic drums sound like they're, meant to be played together, and they're glued together. Because if you have a lot of hits that are flamming, not lining up perfectly, it'll just make it, everything sound sloppy. And, maybe you're going for that sloppy thing. You don't want things landing right together, and that's fine. It's just kind of like an artistic preference in this case. So yeah, that's what I've been doing now. Anytime I record acoustic drums and I have digital stuff also, I go through and I line everything up so everything's playing together. I'll do that with all the different layers of percussion too. There's also this whole other group of percussion that I moved around. Tambourine, as you can see, I have it way behind the beat, 45. That's how much farther back it is from the global quantization tempo. $90 on this one. Also, on these acoustic drums, I have a lot of automation, like reverbs and delays that are coming from my sends down here. Sorry, my returns. And I'm sending these effects to the drums via the sends up here. You can see I'm throwing up the sends to catch those snares and give them these little, reverb out dub delays and whatnot. Something I've been using a lot is the Waves guitar stomp plugin, because it has this spring here that gives it a really classic dub reggae reverb. That's what those sounds are that you're hearing on those snare hits. So that, adding those reverbs coming in and out really just adds variation to the drums, which is super important. You don't want your drums to be too stagnant. Add little variation here and there will, bring the drums to life. Let's keep going, bring that crash back in. Here we go, all the effects. I don't know if you can hear this just weird ambient sound here that I know I often like to, I often like to add, you know, just very subtle moving sounds that are sometimes, you know, barely audible, but it just adds more movement to your track and more depth. So that's what this ambiance is. I have a little frequency shifter on it, which is kind of making it go underneath everything. Classic hip-hop siren, and this blip, that's a very classic, you know, dub reggae sound, which I'm a huge fan of. Right here. See anything special in here? Nope. All different risers, lots of effects, lots of, you know, exhausts and build-ups. All this stuff just adds motion to the sounds and to the overall flow of the track. And breakdowns. Moving forward, got the bass here. This sound is actually a massive patch that I had, and what I did is, I think this is the original sound. And what I did is I wrote the bass line with this one sound, and then I just kind of copied the patch and just started tweaking elements of this original patch, which gave me, you know, different variations on the bass sound. You know, so just, you know, added variation and kept it exciting. It wasn't just the same sound over and over again. And that's kind of how I structured the track, just moving around these different bass sounds. And I often like to, when it comes to the mid-range basses and whatnot, I really like to separate the mid-range frequencies of the bass and the sub. So I always just like to have my sub on its own track. And this way I can kind of beef up the sub and make the sub just throughout, you know, be cohesive throughout the entire tune. I can turn the sub up or down, you know, just have more control, really. But yeah, I love this bass stuff. Super proud of it. Let's bring these synths back in. This is just one shot I found on Splice, I believe. Yeah, and I just kind of transpose it up and down a half step. As you can see here, it's pushed behind the beat 30 points. I guess we can call them points. This is, yeah, plus 30 to just really lay it back behind the drums. You can hear how far behind the metronome it is. Let's put it with the drums. It's really, you know, I'm always like, the acoustic drums in this track are just like the anchoring groove. So I was moving around these different elements to fit into the groove of the drums, the acoustic drums. Same with the bass. I was moving the bass line around a lot. But definitely with these little one shots and whatnot, you really want to place them in the groove so they just sit perfectly. Here comes a lead. This is just a little melody that I actually played on my Moog synthesizer. It's a Moog Sub 37, a little sine wave with some noise on it. And then here we have a conch. This is a conch shell. Actually recorded a friend of mine blowing through a conch, so just such a great sound. Can't really recreate that with synths or anything like that. That's just a conch shell. Synth layer. Yeah, a lot of these tracks don't have a lot going on here because I flatten them to audio. Sometimes if you have a lot of plugins and a lot of stuff going on, you need to freeze and flatten your tracks to just print it to audio and free up some CPU. So that's what's going on. That's what's going on with a lot of this stuff. But this is a little synth stab chordal progression, and I have a little quick delay on it and some reverb. This ARP arpeggiator, a little ping pong delay on it. Just little subtle layers that all come together to make the bigger picture. See, we got the vocals. Yeah, this is a little acapella I found on YouTube. General Levy. It's just really dope vocals. Little cuts and snips. It's almost like the hook. Yeah, let's see. Yep, here once again I'm putting these tracks way behind the beat, 50 points, 70 points on this one. It's really like this goes 50 points behind the beat. Yeah, so this track is really just a groover. It's all about the vibe and the swing and the feel of the groove. It's not a lot going on as far as melodies or the bass line. It's super simple, but it's just, I just laid down this drum feel and really just focused on getting it all grooving together. It came together nicely. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you learned something, and stay tuned for some more new music soon here. Much love.